Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good afternoon and Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Mr. Inam-ul-Haque, sir, I am very grateful for you finding time to grace this occasion. And all the distinguished guests who have managed to come and attend this the event with us. My job is much easier today because the three earlier reviewers, they have in detail discussed various aspects of the book. So I don't have to go into the contents of the book. I would just like to make a few comments. First of all is that no book or article can accomplish the fact of providing all the answers. The purpose is to raise certain questions, and to me it is abundantly clear that this book has raised several questions which have been pointed to by the three reviewers. So to that extent I can feel content that this has been a successful effort, because the purpose is to generate a debate which then throws up new ideas and refines our existing ones. I would like to refer to famous German philosopher Hegel and his idea of dialectics, that to every thesis there is an antithesis, and through the interaction of these two there is a synthesis, a new idea emerges, and then after some time an antithesis develops to that idea, and there is again an interaction, synthesis, and a new idea. And this is how our thought process refines over a period of time. I think we are some distance behind in this, because the kind of debate we need to have in Pakistan, especially on these issues, is still lacking. And unless we allow that free debate, our ideas are going to get stale and we are not going to progress further or to be able to refine our ideas. So I think that's a very important point which we need to remember. Dr. Rabe also mentioned to the need for a debate, and I think we have to now be more confident about our capabilities and should not get into panic if somebody disagrees with us or has a point of view which is different from the official line. If we start expecting all the scholars and researchers and commentators to parrot out the statement issued by the Foreign Office spokesperson or the ISPR press release, I think we are not going to go very far. So we have to grow up now and have the courage to allow some space for this debate. Now, in this connection, Rabe also mentioned to the primary and secondary sources. I think that's another difficulty in Pakistan, that primary sources are not available and there is no process of declassifying old documents. In all other countries, after 25-30 years, documents are declassified and they become available to the scholars and researchers. In the United States, even there are documents who are not even that old. If the researchers or scholars, they demand the document, they can go to the court, ask for it, and the concerned departments have to appear before the court and justify why they are not releasing that information. And sometimes because of security considerations, they black out certain parts of the document, but they still make those documents available. I think we have to now get into this kind of mode if we want to improve our scholarship and if we want to be taken seriously. Because we have already seen that the anti-Pakistan rhetoric has firmed up. It has got deep roots and it is widespread. And Pakistani narrative has not found that space. One reason is because of lack of credibility. The other is obviously the minuscule number of articles and books that we have published. And that is where then we leave this space to others who have hostile intent against Pakistan. So I think we need to seriously look at these things. Editing a book is an onerous and a very difficult task. I found it much more difficult than my solo efforts before that. And I think if one goes for a medical checkup, you will find that after editing a book, your eyesight would have decreased by a point or two, and your blood pressure would be 1 or 2 notches up. So I am seriously thinking that after undertaking the project which you already have underhand in the pipeline, so I am thinking of announcing my retirement after this as far as the reading books is concerned. Another idea, because once we are talking about the debate and discussion, I think we also need to learn from the more established nuclear powers and the procedures and processes they have put in place. I feel that there is a need for a nuclear posture review in Pakistan, whether it takes place after every 5 years or whenever there is a change in government, maybe 10 years, but we need to have a very institutionalized, organized nuclear posture review so that we can find answers to the gaps we have in our policy and the criticisms we keep facing from all around. Ambassador Tariq Usman had mentioned about MO Directorate's role in development of nuclear doctrine. I don't think so they have any role in this. Why? Because they do not have enough information in this and they do not have the expertise. To begin with, these things originated from the MO Directorate, but once the SPD came into being, it's a specialized area, and I don't see any expertise in MO Directorate or any other segment of the conventional military where they could really contribute significantly in this. Yes, up to the extent of the patch-up or the linkage between the conventional to the nuclear strategy, up to that, yes, they can contribute, but I don't think so beyond that they can perform any useful role. As far as this book is concerned, I think I need to thank the contributors, the authors who have contributed chapters in this. My job was to continuously keep bothering them with reminders and emails and telephone calls and keep pushing them to submit their chapters and asking them to review their earlier drafts. It's a continuous process, it's a long process, and it's a very tedious process, and only one who jumps into this water can only realize the depth of it. But I am sure this should not discourage others to take the mantle. I think there is a time that one should try to pass the baton to others, and I hope the other scholars around here and the younger ones particularly would come up and start taking the responsibility. I am myself looking forward to the comments and assessment of the book by Mr. Inam-ul-Haque, and I am sure you must also be keen, so I won't take any more time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saleh. Next, I invite the Chief Guest, Ambassador Inam-ul-Haque, to deliver his address. Ambassador Haque started his career in the Foreign Service of Pakistan in November 1965. He served as the Foreign Minister of Pakistan in the caretaker government of Muhammad Mia Sumro for 4 months in the winter of 2007 to 2008. Earlier, he remained Minister of State for Foreign Affairs from June to November 2002. Ambassador Haque has served as Pakistan's ambassador to Turkey, China, and Pakistan's permanent representative to the United Nations. Sir, please have the floor.